Well, first of all, Lisa, it's wonderful to be here with you today. And in our minds, you are an A+ agent.
Thank you.
Your professionalism, your community-mindedness, I mean, that's really what Sereno is all about.
Yeah.
So thank you for embodying those traits.
Thank you. Well, thank you for setting an example. You know, one of the things that we love about our connection with you guys is the philanthropy and giving back, and all of us deciding who we're going to contribute to. It's pretty cool. So thank you.
Well, and all of you contributed to our #1 top workplace in the entire Bay Area. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah,
it's all of you out there every day with those interactions that make that possible.
Yeah, thank you.
So I really want to get together with you because the big question on people's minds is the market changing, or has the market changed? And you're an expert in real estate, specifically in the East Bay. So I want to get together to ask you a couple questions, because that helps me as the owner of the company to get my mind around kind of what's really happening.
Yeah.
And that's a great part about our company, right, is we can learn from experts like you in different parts of the Bay Area, and then kind of bring that together and then share that information you can bring to your clients.
Well, exactly. And what we love about the connection with Sereno, you guys being that you're a big presence in the South Bay, so many families that come into our East Bay come from here. So it's good to know what your market's doing also. So for us to be kind of watching the markets across the Bay Area,
we're all related, it turns out.
It helps us. So it helps me too. So thank you. And I love being here. I get to come to your meeting and connect with all the realtors here. And stuff.
Well, that's great. We're downtown San Carlos today. It's a beautiful day. And so let's, for the audience, ask a couple questions. First of all, how long have you been in the real estate business?
So I started back in 1986, so 35 years, right? I just celebrated my 35th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know, it seems like it just got by so fast. It's so great that I work together, of course, and he's been in real estate a lot longer than I have, so he's got about 15 years on me. So he's going on like 45, almost longer. So
right, maybe we can gauge them by recessions. That's like 5 recessions in the business.
Well, right? I was thinking about that the other day. We've been through a lot of different cycles. The ebbs and flows are a natural part of business in general, but real estate for sure.
And this is really about enduring, right, and learning in each of those markets, and then, boy, when our clients really need us, you having that experience and knowledge, I mean, that is really valuable.
Well, it's been such a help. Our market, as you know, I think we'll talk about the South Bay too, but to make the market, I think all over the country has started to change, right? We're normalizing, and there's a lot more inventory, and just markets changing. If someone in business hasn't succeeded through this in the past, we wouldn't have the tools to help people navigate it now. Like, to bring a client confidence that it's okay. Change is okay. We'll get through it. Their goals are possible. It just means we have to work a whole lot harder, which I'm okay with.
Right.
And it takes more time. There's a lot of things around the strategy to help them. So.
And I like that the market's normalizing. Yeah. I think that's a great statement. So let's talk about the areas specifically that you really focus on.
So we are East Bay, which is anything kind of like the 580 corridor, so Livermore to all the way down to like the 580. And we do some work in this area, like Fremont and the South Bay generally, but most of our business is East Bay. So the 580, the 680, even the La Miranda corridor, all the way to Martinez, down around to the Clayton area. So it's a pretty broad. Our main focus is the 680 corridor, but I grew up in the area, so I grew up in Martinez and Concord and Clayton, so I know that market real well too. So,
that helps.
Yeah, so we have a little knowledge. And actually, I have a gal on my team who specializes in East County too, so that would be Antioch, Pittsburgh, Brentwood, Oakley, so we're pretty armed with knowledge in that area too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about those areas right now in the East Bay. Obviously, rates have kind of leaped up rather quickly.
Yeah.
There's some economic concerns. There's been some adjustments in the stock market.
Yeah.
So where is the market right now with all that in the backdrop in the East Bay specifically?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We track what I call like a typical supply and demand, right? The active dependent ratios. We track that weekly for decades, right? So we can watch the flows, the ebbs and flows of the market. So this is the first time in 3 years in all of our cities, there is almost double the amount of active and pending. So it's like we've gone from having, just to give one city as example, so San Ramon, for example, one of the cities where we do a lot of work. So in February and March, there were 40 active listings and 160 pending.
Wow.
Yeah, right now we have 169 active and 51 pending as of this morning.
Very interesting. Almost a whole inverse.
So it's like that is what the seller and the buyer, this is such an opportunity, which we'll talk about that in a minute. It's such an opportunity for buyers. They don't realize, it's like, oh my gosh, now you have choices and you can take your time and you're not in such intense competition, and it's a good opportunity for buyers to buy. And the sellers just have to know that there's more competition, so it takes more work and more time. They do have to be a lot more mindful of how they position their house and, how they prepare it and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a big flop. And that would be every city in our market right now has.
Well, the stats are very powerful, as you say.
Right.
Even the supply and demand.
Yeah, and from the Livermore all the way to that whole area we talked about, in February there were less than 400 active in that whole area, and now we have about 1,250. So just a big difference, and there's about 700 pending. So still a lot of pending, right? That's still healthy.
Houses are selling.
Houses are absolutely selling.
Yes, they're selling. Right.
It just takes more time to work.
Well, let's get some context on that, right? So here we're talking about a changing market, but perhaps in the back of people's minds are, how markets have changed in the past.
Yep.
And so just as a comparison, maybe you can help us sort of compare why this isn't likely to be like the financial crisis, say the market from 2006 to 2011. How is this different?
That's such a good question, because that is what is on everyone's mind. And I think every young buyer thinks that we're in the middle of that same sort of change, right? So two statistics that I thought were very interesting that I've been tracking is back in 2008, one of the biggest challenges that we had as Americans is as a country, there were over $860 billion worth of debt on housing, right? That's a lot. People were using their houses as ATMs. We all remember that. Financing the house is 105% loan. Right now, there's less than $300 billion on debt. So consumers are in a way better financial position in their houses. And I think statistically, I heard this morning that about 43% of Americans own their homes free and clear. So that is way different than where we were in 2008. I mean, we had obviously from less than $300 billion to $860 billion is a big difference in debt. So I think America's better positioned to handle a little bit of ebb and flow. I don't think we're going to see.
Yeah, the foundation is very solid, right? Household credit is clean.
100%. People have down payments.
Anyone that's trying to get a loan even in the last 10 years, I mean, it's been very difficult. And we talk about the people that actually won the bids in the last couple of years were some of the most well-off people that we've ever seen enter the market.
Exactly. So people have a lot more down. They're not using their houses like they were. They're not taking all their equity out in general. So I just think we'll sustain a little bit of ebb and flow a lot better. I mean, we do some, back in the day, we did some REO work, bank-owned work where we sold properties for banks. And the situation back then is just so much different than today. So I don't think we'll end up seeing, I think we're gonna see some cycle for a bit. I don't know how long, there's no crystal ball. I think we're in for a little bit of a length of time where things are not likely to be as heated. It'll take some time to get through it. But I think it will be more of a bump instead of a crash.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you, kind of like, where do you see the market heading?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I know this is something that as a company we've all been talking about. I think that a lot of it depends on what happens with the Fed, the Federal Reserve over the next few months. If they keep being aggressive in their raising rates, I think we're going to see a little more fear. If they can kind of cool it for a bit, let it settle, which hopefully they will. We'll see.
Well, they're racing there to try to tame inflation. Obviously, we keep hearing that bad word. And apparently that word is worse than a recession. So that the priority is to calm that, and in doing so, the concern is the risk of, but you're right, I think the market is adapting. There's a lot of cash still in the market.
Yeah, there is a lot of cash, although I have to say one thing that a lot of people in our market believe, which I think, knowing the statistics is important. So a lot of our clients believe that everyone in the South Bay is paying cash and coming to the beach, paying cash for homes. And actually, our market's about 90% finance. Even if it's a big down, if people come in with 50 to 60% down, they're still typically getting loans in most cases. Most people are families. They're executives with a lot of Silicon Valley tech companies, which is awesome. Coming to our area and buying.
We have a lot of those clients. There are clients.
Exactly. So us too, it's like we come to our area, but I think that most of them still get financing. And so interest rates do make an impact. They influence people's comfort and their ability to purchase. But I think that we're way more armed today than we were back in the day.
Right. Some of it too is adapting. It moved a little quickly, but in all reality, rates are still low.
I mean, gosh. I know you and I both started. When I first started in the business, my first house we bought an FHA assumable. It was coming down off of like 14%. I got a 9%. We thought, oh my gosh,
under 10, amazing.
So this is normal, really, but compared to 2.6%, it's
and that's the context I was saying here. It's really for someone with your experience. It's so great that you can bring that historical context.
It has.
Yeah.
We've been through this. We know what to do, and like I said, I don't think that this will be as severe as what we've experienced in the past. But one thing that's super good for people to know, I didn't know this until recently, as I'm researching different cycles. Out of all of the last 6, what we might say recessions, which recession isn't such a scary word. It's only 2 quarters of negative growth, right? So really not that scary, but it is scary. But out of the last 6 recessions, only 2 of them did real estate actually decline. The other recessions, real estate just rose at a slower pace. Mm-hmm. So it's not such a scary thing. We'll get through it, and it won't be as deep in most. At least that's what I think.
Right.
No crystal ball, but.
So let's just talk something that what a great honor for your team to have just been named Best of Danville.
Yeah,
that is such a remarkable accomplishment. And although you guys have been incredibly productive at the top of the agent pool in terms of productivity, I know that that's not something that you promote that much, right? Because I know you're about each client, caring for them and caring for the community. And I think your productivity is a byproduct of all the wonderful good that you bring to your clients and the community. But why don't you just tell me a little bit about this award? I mean, this sounds like a very unique honor on how this all came about.
It's so cool. So like you said, I've had clients in the past who have said to me, how can there be 25 or 30 number ones? How stupid is your industry where everyone says, and so I've always believed that, and that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I'm just not concerned about that. But the fact that the town of Danville said to us that they appreciate that we care, the award for Best of Danville doesn't have to do, although they expect productivity, like you said, high productivity, but they base it more on giving back and the contribution and all the things that matter to us the most, which is the client knowing that we care. It's like we wanted to support restaurants during the pandemic and help
that was amazing.
Give back and we're show this. So thank you. That Best of Danville means a lot to us. It's very sweet and special. And when the lady from the town of Danville called me to tell me that they wanted to award us, she said, people can't just vote. It's them, they have a little group, and they look around and they decide. So it was very
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're very honored. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Well deserved.
Well, I know us as a company have been given an awesome award for 5 years, right? One of the number one best place to work.
Yeah, so 13 years on the list.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years in a row, the number one top workplace in the entire Bay Area. It's 5 counties. It's hard to believe. For large firms above 500 people, I mean. And again, I just feel lucky that I get to work here with people like you. When I see that award, I'm like, oh, how did I deserve this? What a blessing to be able to work with wonderful, nice people who are intentional about the professionalism, who care about the community. Yeah. I mean, I just think that's the sweet spot from a professional standpoint for us to be.
It's so cool. Like we so appreciate, because we haven't been Sereno for that long, right? J. Rockcliffe and Sereno merged a few years ago, and we joined you guys. It's like so we've so enjoyed the way you run your company, the way you guys help the communities, and the culture within Sereno is pretty special. So we've loved it.
Well, if I can add,
I enjoy it.
You guys were already such a wonderful community-minded, locally owned company.
Yeah.
And as evidenced by, as soon as we joined and we shared about our 1% for Good, our philanthropy program, well, within the first year, the East Bay team jumped on board. We raised over $100,000 for East Bay charities that the agents picked in the first year.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Super fun.
So that just shows that the synergy was all there. Mm-hmm. It's just that by us coming together, we've got more leverage for the good of the community.
Well, the 1% for Good with Sereno, you guys have donated over the years millions, right?
Well, we hit over $5 million this year.
Yeah.
$5 million to about 400 local charities. Again, groups chosen by our agents, really needy, very special organizations where most, if not all, the funds are going directly to the cause. And it really is incredible, because when this is all said and done, as you said before, it's great to sell a lot of real estate. We love serving clients well, but the legacy is going to be the impact we've had on the communities that we have the privilege to serve.
It's about making a difference. It's about being a part of something that's not just us, you know, it's like something else. So I love that. And we've loved that about Sereno, that, you know, that you guys care about that. So it's cool. My daughter and I were involved in an organization when she was young called NCL. National Charity League. So we got to do a lot of charity work when she was a little girl. And so it's like that's just about, you know, continuing to do that. So
it is. Our daughter did that as well, so I'm very familiar with it. So we talked a little bit about this, but maybe in closing, maybe just a little more on your prior experience in this type of a market, right? How does that help you to better serve your clients as we kind of navigate through this market?
It's big. It's huge. It's big. It's like, you know, we were just chatting about another agent who said to me the other day, well, everything's bad. The market's, nothing is selling, so I'm just going to take time off. You know, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, one thing that I would tell every new agent right now who's joining real estate, and I joined in a very tough market, right? You know, when I first started real estate, things were not easy, and houses took a long time to sell, and it was hard work. When you start in that environment, you have better habits.
Of course.
When you're in a marketplace where it's like, it seems easy, although it still struggles, you know, different things are difficult for everyone, but when things are easy, you don't develop this strong habit. So to answer your question, I think that all the different cycles that I've been through, 3 major ones, you know, we're armed with knowledge about what to do to help the person through it. You know, to guide the seller and buyer through their concerns and their fears, and give them confidence. You know, and I would say every new agent that's, you know, that's joining and is struggling right now, embrace that, because you'll be better off to serve people later.
Absolutely.
All the learning that you'll do.
Your clients are fortunate to have you, and I know you appreciate them as well. This has been helpful for me because this helps kind of shape my thinking in terms of what's happening in the market overall, knowing specifically what's going on in the East Bay.
Yeah,
so it's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to, you know, lots of growth in the years to come.
You got it.
Yeah, thanks.
Sounds great.